We went to a radioactive mountain, where ancient sacrifices were once made. And this is what we discovered. Hello, I love watching travel videos on YouTube. Not from professional travelers, but from locals. That give much better sense of what a country really looks like. Not a polished version you see in tourist brochures. So I thought, why not do something similar about my own country. I live in Russia, and my wife and I recently traveled through almost every region of the country. Most people think they know what Russia looks like, and that's true in a way. But Russia also looks like this and this and this. So I suggest you check out my first travel video about Russia. From now on I'll be used AI translation, so you don't have to suffer through my accent.
We started our big journey across Russia by climbing a mystical mountain located in the Caucasus. Why it's mystical? I'll explain a little later, but first we went to the town of Zheleznovatsk, which is in the Stavropol region. Here there are several towns located literally just 10 minutes drive from each other: Pyatigorsk, Yessentyuky, Zheleznovatsk, and Mineralnye Vody. This is a resort where Russian residents have been coming to relax for over 150 years. This region is known as a place where you can improve your health Besides the beautiful nature and clean air, there are many mineral water springs around. It is said that this water has healing properties. In the past, these were just sources in the forest. Some still remain. But there are also equipped places where you can taste the water for free. This is what it looks like in the town of Yessentyuky. It reminds me a bit of a small museum. Of course, we also tried the water. To give you an idea, it tastes very similar to Gerolsteiner or Borjomi water. I know that many people find this taste unusual, but I love water like this, so I enjoy it. It has a slightly metallic, alkaline taste, and it's naturally slightly carbonated. But the fizz isn't as strong as in bottled water. It's tasty, but as far as I know, you shouldn't drink too much of it. The town of Yessentyuky itself is small but beautiful. We spent one day there. As for prices, a full meal for two, enough to last the whole day, costs around 2,500 rubles, roughly $32. And this isn't even in the cheapest restaurant in town. If you eat at simpler places, you can enjoy a good meal for two for about $15. But back to Zheleznovatsk, there are also mineral springs here, but the water tastes completely different. I don't know who could like it. It tastes like rotten eggs. The smell is so strong that just one sip is enough for it to linger with you all day. That happened to be the day we were walking around the town. There are beautiful parks and historic buildings. We rode on a small lake in the city center and walked along the alleys. That was the first day in Zheleznovatsk. On the second day, we headed to Mount Beshtau, which is mainly what this video will be about. First, we went to the train station and crossed the railway tracks. Right nearby is the path that leads up the mountain. So why is Beshtau considered a mystical mountain? Of course, it's all connected to legends and myths. It is said that long ago, in ancient times, sacrifices were made at the summit. There is a specific spot called the Temple of the Sun. We will definitely visit this place. All of this, of course, is myth with no real evidence, but it adds a mystical atmosphere for the hike to the top. By the way, the mountain isn't very high, about 1,400 meters, so it's perfect for a day hike. When we started climbing, for the first hour, it didn't even feel like we were going up a mountain. The slope wasn't very steep, so it felt more like an ordinary walk through the forest. It was early spring, warm, with nature just waking up from its winter sleep. You walk and simply enjoy it.
The only difficult part was the last 20 minutes. The slope became truly steep, and in some places you could almost say we had to scramble upward. But it was worth it, because after that you reach the first viewing platform, where a beautiful view like this opens up before you. Behind me is the summit of Mount Beshtau. I wouldn't say that climbing up here was completely easy, but I also wouldn't call it difficult. The one thing I can say for sure is that it's incredibly beautiful here. We decided to go down the other side of the mountain to visit the Temple of the Sun, and on this side it almost felt like the weather was different. It was warm over there, but here the wind was much colder, but that only added to the atmosphere. We finally reached the so-called Temple of the Sun. I'll say it again, it's just a legend, but if you believe it, this is the very place where sacrifices were once made long ago. They say the sacrifice was performed right here, the blood running down the stones, and then the victim was thrown off this cliff. I don't know whether it's true or not, but stories like this make walks in places like these much more interesting. we came down from the mountain. We didn't see any ghosts or anything paranormal, although if you read stories online, some people claim that all kinds of spirits can definitely be encountered here. Of course, that's all fiction. By the way, you might be wondering why the title says this is a radioactive mountain. Is that also a legend? No. That part is actually true. The thing is, there are abandoned mines in this mountain where uranium was once extracted. This was during the Soviet Union, and at that time, these mines were classified facilities. Now they are abandoned, but the radiation levels here are still above normal. Right now, we're near one of the entrances to the abandoned uranium mines. If you don't stay here for long, it's safe, but the air and the water flowing out of the mine are radioactive. Spending too much time in places like this can have a harmful effect on your health. There's also a half-abandoned village not far from here. Dogs are running around. The atmosphere is interesting. It feels like you stepped into some kind of post-apocalyptic movie. If we climbed Mount Beshtau from the town of Zheleznovatsk, we descended into the city of Pyatigorsk. The next day, we visited several attractions. We took a walk through a beautiful park, which is quite lovely. We also went to a viewpoint overlooking the city and visited one of the city's main landmarks. This place is called Proval. You walk through a cave in the mountain and find yourself by a beautiful lake with bright blue water inside the mountain. Inside, it's certainly beautiful, but since the lake is fed by underground mineral waters, the smell isn't very pleasant. Once again, it smells like rotten eggs. We also decided to climb another mountain, at the foot of which the city of Pyatigorsk is located, Mount Mashuk. But this time, we chose to go up not on foot, but by cable car. The weather was cloudy, so when we reached the top, we found ourselves above the clouds. The view felt magical, as if you were walking over cappuccino foam.
Thank you for watching until the end. This is my first video on YouTube, and if you enjoyed it, I'd be grateful if you subscribed to the channel and shared your thoughts in the comments.